Hey everybody, welcome back to the Golf Podcast presented by Golficity. This is episode number 277. We've got a lot to talk about. We've got some giveaways that we're doing. We're going to talk about. We're going to update you guys on the Golficity Virtual Open, which is literally around the corner. And we're going to talk in a little bit about how to stop catching your shots thin. And this is a nice counterpoint to a couple of weeks ago. We talked about hitting it fat and how to avoid that. And what I had said back then, and the same thing applies here, there are definitely different variables or varying degrees, I should say, of catching it thin. It can be something that's a dramatic, topped shot, but it can also be something that's a little bit more subtle, catching it a little bit too thin, not getting much air under it, catching a flyer, as some say, or just missing your target. So no matter what your skill level, this is going to be another one of those great topics because there's a lot in here that's going to apply to you no matter what your miss is. Additionally, as golfers, we all go through these variations where sometimes we mishit it. Even the best golfers can struggle with these different things. So I love doing this. I love going back and just kind of restudying and refreshing some fundamentals because I find that it helps to not only avoid it, but it helps to quickly correct it. You could just, and this could happen to anybody, a bad round or a bad shot could spring on anyone. And if you have the tools to, or I should say even better word would be the knowledge to know what's going wrong, you can correct it much quicker. So it does happen to all of us. Mike, you saw it happen to me. My first tee shot at London Links, I topped.
Yeah, you did.
Right? And actually, there's a couple things that could have happened from that. I could have gotten really upset about it, or as I said before, I use it as a learning experience. And it's going to tie in later. I'm going to tell you, as reviewing it, and this is why I like reviewing these things, I know exactly what I did wrong because I've gone back and looked at this, and it's just something that I can implement so that even if it does happen in a round, it doesn't start to have that compounding effect that we've all struggled with, where like one bad shot leads to two, leads to three, leads to four, and then you're out there feeling totally baffled. So I think that by reviewing it, we're going to learn from it, and you're never, no matter what, you're never going to eliminate it. It's always can happen to anyone. We even see it happen sometimes on the PGA Tour, where a guy will shank a shot. I mean, it's funny. You see it and they share it all over social media when it happens because it doesn't happen as often, but it does happen. So because of the fact that it's not completely avoidable, just knowing what it is so that you can right the ship quicker, I think is going to be important. So we're going to dive into a whole bunch of that in a little while here.
You know where I skull it often? Downhill lies off the side of the green. In fact, you think of West Hill's first hole. If you fly that green, you're coming back to that green with a downhill.
Yeah. I
cannot get air on that ball. The other day I was out playing. I had the same shot, and one of my playing partners sculled it. He had the same shot as me, and I go, I got this. Sure enough, I sculled it. I hit it like a ground ball down the hill through the green to the other side.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's another thing. That's another variable. Lies become a variable. Yeah. But yeah, you're right. And I've been thinking about playing that hole so different. It's such a short, straight out par four. The real challenge is the fairway gets incredibly narrow down by the green, but also it's that turtle back, turtle shell, whatever type of green, where if you don't hit it, you run off it. And they've had those greens running so fast that you almost have to hit the front of the green to stick it. But if you're just a little short, you roll back down. And then that becomes a very challenging green to pitch up and onto.
Right.
But, there's a lot of greens out there like that. I mean, like I said, I think every green at the Ocean Course was like that. I think literally. So it is a shot to learn. But so we'll dive into that in a minute. But first, let's update people on quickly, because there's only a few days left to get in, our Footjoy giveaway, where we're giving away 5 of those just fire Footjoy outfits. I'm just looking over because I see some of the shorts there that I can't wait to, now that it's finally getting warm, to wear. But we've got the Footjoy shorts, the shirt, and the Flexes, which are just, some of the most comfortable golf shoes I've ever worn. So we're going to give away 5 of those. So if you guys haven't checked that out, make sure you check out the Footjoy giveaway. I'll link to that in the show notes. We'll link to it also if you're watching this on YouTube in the video description, or you can check out the video we did, the unboxing video, either in the Golficity app or wherever you guys get our videos. The information's there. We want to get as many people in there as possible because that's a cool one. I mean, I'm still really impressed by and happy with Footjoy for doing that, because we had asked them to give away 1 outfit and they came in and upped the ante to 5. So
take it back a step. I think we started with a pair of shoes.
Yeah, something like that.
And then it turned into an outfit, and then it was, hey guys, why not just do 5?
Right.
It was great.
And I'm super grateful for that, because that's super generous. And we always look for those opportunities to give back. We do this. We got all this great gear for Scotland, and we do the unboxing video, and we're like, I feel like almost bad in a way. Like, I don't want to like flaunt all this great stuff. I want to share it. So it was so cool. Like, we're like, get an opportunity to also have you guys out there get a similar experience by giving as much away as we can. So that's really cool. You guys want to get involved with that. The other thing, speaking of giveaways, our virtual open. So can you believe it, Mike? This is going to be our 3rd annual.
Yeah, it's crazy, huh? 3 years now doing this.
3 years. I feel like we just kicked this off. I remember our first round doing this was at Stony Ford in Orange County, New York.
Stony Ford, yes. I remember what I wore that round.
Oh, man.
That's what's great about videotaping all the rounds. You can remember all the littlest things. But yes, where did we play the second round?
The second round was the one I had to bail on.
That's right.
It's a day that, I can't forget for other reasons, because unfortunately my daughter was sick and I had to rush to the hospital. I don't remember, though. I ended up having to replay my virtual open round last year, and I don't remember where I
think you might have went to West Hills. They used to like a local round.
It was something like that. I had to squeeze it in later after she got out of the hospital. Thankfully, everything was okay. But yeah, so this year, we're going to have fun with it. We're going to be doing a couple videos around that as well. We've got great prizes. If you haven't been involved in our virtual open before, just in a nutshell, we say virtual open. I think in the world today of so many video games, sometimes people think like video games, but no, it's real golf. But the nice part is, and we've always wanted a way to kind of get everybody, the whole Golficity army, so to speak, together to play. And it's hard because everybody's spread out all over the world. But so like, how do we organize a tournament? Sure, we could do some local tournaments and then people are going to miss out, whatever. This way, it's going to be a tournament. It's worldwide. We actually are going to be leveraging the 18 Birdies app, because the 18 Birdies app has a format that we can use for a virtual open. All the details for this you can get to by going to golficity.com/open, which I'll also link to, like I said, in the show notes or in the video description if you're watching this on the video. So basically, you play one round. We try to span it out as long as we can. You got a month to do it. It's going to be July 15th through August 15th. You log one round, and before you set out, you're going to actually, basically in the app announce that this is your round. So you'll be entering the tournament. And you're going to go out and play, and we're going to have live leaderboards. We're going to have both gross and net. In previous years, and again, we're trying to remove all barriers so that everyone can get involved. So that's why, again, we use the app. It's international. They've got tons of courses on there, but also, handicaps had been a problem in the past. Some people didn't have handicaps. They wasn't sure what to do. So this year we were taking, a suggestion from the 18 Birdies team, because we always kind of ask them like if they've got any new features or anything that we can use and deploy to make this a little bit better. We're going to be using the Peoria, which I hope I'm saying right. You know us with pronunciation, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. System. So it'll actually take your round, and there's a calculation that does. And again, all the information is going to be on that website, golficity.com/open. But the way it works is it basically calculates a handicap based on your performance that day. Just in a nutshell, I think it takes 6 holes, and then it just takes that and takes an average out and extrapolates it out. And how you perform on those 6 holes, it basically generates a handicap for you, like right there on the fly. So it's based on your performance that day. So we're going to have that for our net leaderboards. Our gross leaderboard. No, gross leaderboard is going to be the main one. Then we'll have the net with the handicaps. That is going to be for bragging rights, as we've done in the past. We don't do that for prizes because, unfortunately, as much as we've got a lot of people who participate every year who are very honest, the reality is, whether it be intentional or not, we've had some very, very low scores come in, and it could be that someone just entered them wrong. Whatever it is, it's very hard to administrate over this big of a span, and we don't want to have any incentives for cheating or anything like that. So that'll be for bragging rights, and then anybody who gets involved, there's going to be door prizes. And Mike, we've got some pretty cool ones lined up, right?
Yeah, pretty cool. We're going to have some shot scope V2s, putt out training aids. We're going to do a custom Golficity Chippo set, which I'm looking at right now, and I kind of want to keep it.
Yeah.
But we got to part ways with it. Nikon rangefinder, Amp Caddy's offering up a nice bundle of some cool stuff. We got probably about a handful, I'd say maybe 5 dozen Pro V1s courtesy at golfballs.com. And I think even Skytrack's going to get involved this year. And the list is continuing to grow as we lead into this event. So far, so good. Prizes look good, man.
Yeah, and exactly what you said, it is growing. So there's a lot of people who are just coming in last minute and wanting to be involved and tossing some prizes in. They're all donations, so we appreciate everybody who's kind of kicked those in and donated these prizes. But it's really great. So we're gonna give those out. We're gonna announce the winners at the end. Again, what you're gonna do, if you go to golficity.com/open, all the instructions are there. They're very simple. It's basically get you set up and registered to play in the app, and also there's a registration form we have so that we can use that to contact our door prize winners after the event. But if you haven't participated in this, I can't tell you guys how much fun this is because of the live leaderboards. I mean, I love it. Like, as we'll be, while you're out there playing your round, you can check the leaderboard and see yourself move up and down on the leaderboards. Really cool. And on top of that, you could be at work the next day and see how your buddies are playing if they're out on the course or whatever, and you're just watching them move around the leaderboard. So it's got a real legit feel to it. And like I said, it's a fun time. We're happy to do it every year. So by all means, and also big shout out to some of the guys, to Chris McEwen, Eric Benzenberg, Eddie DeTuza, all the guys who've been really helping us out in the background, because the administration is, of these things gets a little bit more and more difficult, especially coordinating all the prizes. So big shout out to those guys who've been helping us, reaching out to some of the prize donors and helping coordinate that. It is a lot of work every year, and we do appreciate them going the extra mile and helping out with that. So that's a big thing. All right. So let's talk about tonight's instructional topic. I want to talk about, if you're catching it thin, like I said, all different levels this is going to apply to. So it's an important one. Before we do so, quick word from our sponsor. As always, we want to thank Titleist for sponsoring this week's episode. And we're also excited to share with you guys some exclusive opportunities from Titleist. But to be part of them, you have to join Team Titleist. You've seen that TT logo. There it is. Mike's got it right there. In fact, actually, a bunch of people have been commenting on the videos and stuff and asking where to get those hats with that logo. It stands for Team Titleist. If you want to get gear like that, you just got to go in there. You got to join Team Titleist. It is free, and a lot of this stuff is just random. Like, it's really cool. They have random events. They have the random, like, where they'll just give things away, and that's where sometimes you'll just be surprised with a hat shows up at your door, or like we did, Mike, there was some invitations to go down to 5-iron golf. And while we were there, they were giving some of those things away. So, it's really more than just a name, Team Titleist. It's a community of golfers. They're just like you and I, Mike. And this community, it really connects the product experts. It hosts events, like we said, like 5-iron golf. It provides opportunities for prototype testing. A lot of you, that's the other thing you had asked, where we got those white boxes when we got the 2019 Pro V1s ahead of time. Get that just, as part of being Team Titleist. They sent them out to numerous Team Titleist members who got to be the product testers. So it's really cool. Lots of perks, all for being part of Team Titleist. And it's the coolest part about it is it's free. It takes like 2 seconds to sign up on their website. They're going to have, we're going to be going to a Titleist Thursday soon. We're going to be doing some woods and hybrid testing. So you get all this types of information by being part of Team Titleist. So you can join the team by going to Titleist.com/team Titleist. When you enter that, make sure it's one word. So Titleist.com/team Titleist. Like I said, guys, simple, sign up. You might be surprised at what arrives at your doorstep, and you'll enjoy being part of the community because it's a really great group of golfers that are in there. So really great stuff.
Yeah, it really is. I'm glad we're a part of it, but definitely check that out. And lastly, Frank, I want to just throw this one out there. Does anyone out there want to improve at golf? I mean, I hope we're all raising our hands, obviously.
If you're listening to this show, I would hope so, right? Yeah.
Yes. But if I told you that you could play a round of golf, and when you're done with that round, you can hop onto your phone, your computer, and you could find out tons of things. Things like greens hit, what are your misses, left or right, fairways hit, average distance of all your clubs that you use, the use of those clubs, which clubs you're not using. Maybe you can eliminate them from your bag and put something in that you should be using. GPS during the round, front, back, middle of green, hazards, layups, you name it. And then a leaderboard that you can participate for prizes. It sounds pretty cool, right? So this is ShotScope. ShotScope V2 is the world's smartest golf watch. It's an all-in-one stat tracking and GPS watch. I mean, imagine bringing this data to your swing coach and saying, hey, I need improvement here, or I need improvement there, or 100 yards and in, or off the tee, or my proximity to the hole is poor. You get it, right? So imagine that. Well, imagine if I told you it was $159 with no subscription fees.
Right, I know.
I mean, there's your quintessential no-brainer. So join the revolution. Join the leaderboards, and join us regular golfers as we journey to lower scores. Get yourself a ShotScope V2 for $159. That's it. Check it out. Shotscope.com/Golficity.
Hey, that reminded me. I wanted to catch your opinion on this because it just came out on Golficity today. Did you see the data dive that Eric Benzenberg did?
It's pretty competitive. It's wild.
It's wild. So if you guys didn't get a chance to check it out, ShotScope reminded me because Eric is putting together this great series where he's diving into all that data you just talked about, Mike. You remember it's being collected for all golfers. So now ShotScope, they have over 18 million shots recorded in their system, and they're able to pull that data out. And Eric has been working with it and looking at some of the different things that all golfers can learn from it. I mean, I'm not going to go too deep here because I think we may even do an entire podcast episode on this because I learned so much from it. But they just showed about percentages and diving deeper into like the fact that like it's so cool. Like he said that when you play from the thick rough, it costs a golfer an average of 1.1 shots per hole. I mean, like this is what we're talking about, like this, like really like data heavy information. But he talked about how looking at that, you can learn that just changing your direction of your aim based on your unique shot shape can end up being a huge conversion in shots saved. So.
Do you know why I love that so much? It brings me back to Gavin from ShotScope, his tip he gave me on like the 4th round of the Scotland trip.
Yeah.
When he just looked at me on the tee box and I hit a slice that was like 3 fairways to the right. And he goes, let me ask you a question. Which way are you aiming? And I said, I think I'm aiming left to play my cut. He goes, you're aiming right down the middle, whether you realize it or not. Yeah. So he gave me that tip as to show how to aim the proper way. Just exactly what you said.
Well,
it's been a home run.
It's so unnatural for a lot of us amateur golfers to aim anywhere other than dead center of the fairway. Because like we figure we just want to aim for the biggest, fattest chunk. But the reality is we don't take into effect our shot shape and realizing like you curve it to the right? So he's just saying, just aim a little bit left. We're not saying aim 2 fairways over. We're saying just aim maybe the left side of the fairway. And that's something that Sprecher had taught us as well. But I mean, again, this is crazy. They looked at the data and they said that basically if you're a fader, if you play a natural fade on your drive, if you just moved your target line 25 yards to the left, they said that a fader can save on average 5 shots from 10 tee shots.
There it is.
How amazing is that? Just because of the fact that you're going to take a lot of the hazards and trouble that goes down the right side, fairway bunkers, trees, heavy rough, a lot of that gets taken out of play by moving your target line just a little bit further, leaning a bit into your shot shape. and letting it work back into the fairway rather than aiming dead center. So anyway, there's so much in there to decompress. I think I'm going to do that in a whole nother episode. But again, big shout out to Eric for putting that together. And if you guys haven't checked out that article, it like really caught my attention today. And I think I read through it like 2 or 3 times just to let it just sink in. So you guys are going to want to check that out. But let's switch gears. Let's talk about how to stop thinning your shots. And again, this is something that it's a very much a counterpoint to we talked about a couple episodes ago, hitting it fat, and realize that there are more than one ways to mishit a ball. I think I've personally found every single one of them, but there's more than one way to mishit it. And there's more than one way to strike a shot thin. Thin really just means you're striking it low on the face. So it can be just a single groove or two below the sweet spot. But on the other hand, it could be that extremely thin shot where you barely make contact and you hit it with the leading edge of the club and basically just top it. But you know, when you're able to start getting more clean strikes and move and actually, like I said, you're never going to eliminate it, but if you can reduce it a bit, if you can reduce the number of thin or on the other point, the fat shots that you hit, obviously your scores are going to improve, because we talked about this too recently. We talked about eliminating your bad misses, your big mistakes, trying to get away from those. So improving your ball striking obviously is going to be a part of it. But here too, Mike, this actually ties in. I believe that we just talked about this last week. Was last week our tempo?
Yes.
Okay. So this really ties in perfectly, because what a lot of people don't realize or think about, and very often culprit of thin golf shots is tempo, is when you get away from your tempo. And poor tempo, and we did an entire episode on this because it is very common, especially in the amateur game. We have varied tempos. We don't have consistent tempos. We get quick at different times. But here, when you rush through your swing, what happens is you don't give your body a chance to rotate through correctly. And that often results in missing the ball low on the face, a thin shot. And where this really happens, this is something that I was mentioning a little bit more in the last episode, where tempo doesn't necessarily mean through the entire swing. Your tempo can go wrong in just part of your swing. And if it does, it's usually the transition from backswing to swinging through. If you get quick, it's usually there. So I replay in my mind that topped drive I hit it at London Links, right? And I could name every excuse in the book if I wanted to, okay? I went out there. It was my literally first swing of the day. There was no range. I didn't hit any balls, whatever it may be. There's always first tee jitters, especially when you're playing with different people for the first time. Whatever it was, whatever the reason was, I know the mechanics of what wrong is exactly that. I got quick at the top. I got, my tempo went a little bit too fast. Again, it could have been nerves. It could have been cold, going in there cold, whatever it was. I got incredibly quick at the top. I just I messed up my tempo and I topped that ball and it went basically nowhere. Now, full disclosure, I gave myself a breakfast ball on that one because I'm like, I'm not starting my day like this. It's the first shot of the day. We were not playing for money. We were not playing for anything like that. And didn't even go to the range. We walked out of the car and got everything set up and went off on the first tee. So I'm like, you guys don't mind, I'm just going to hit another one. So again, treating it as a learning thing, I said, all right, what did I do wrong there? I kind of realized I got quick. I slowed everything down and I drove the second shot in the, way down there in the fairway, moved on with my day, and it didn't happen again. But here again, like I said, if you know it, and now I know it even better, having researched it for this episode and diving a little bit deeper. If you know what's going wrong, and if you're always thinking about it and thinking about mechanics, you can correct things a lot quicker. I think we've all experienced, and no one likes it, when you're out there and you're just bewildered and you're like, what am I doing wrong? Like, I literally have no idea what I'm doing wrong. And you start asking your buddies, like, what, you guys see anything? Like, what am I doing?
Right.
You start saying, like, someone videotaped me. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I had that experience when we played a YouTube golf day. I played atrociously, and it took someone else pointing it out to me. It was actually just a really friendly guy who was kind of following the group that day, and he just came up to me and he's like, "Listen, I videotaped your swing because I started to play better later." And he goes, "Look at your swing on the first couple holes versus now." And he showed me on his phone. He's like, "You weren't turning your hips at all. Your hips weren't rotating at all, and now they are." And I was just like, "Oh, all right." So sometimes it does take that outside insight, but that's why I feel like if we go review these things and decompress them here, maybe it's something that'll click in your mind, and all of a sudden you'll realize, like, why am I topping this? Or it could be with just certain clubs. If there's one club I top, more frequently than others, it's my 3-wood. And I think part of that is because usually, if you think about a 3-wood situation, it's usually a long par 5 and you're trying to reach there in 2 or something like that, or it's a long, really long par 3 that you need to get there. And those are the times you get quick, especially in your tempo, because in your mind, you just that last second, like just kind of muscle up, so to speak. And it translates to getting away from your normal smooth swing. You certainly don't swing it like you swing a 7-iron,
That's for sure.
Yeah, you probably should, right? So I think if you are topping it, first thing I would look at is your tempo. That makes sense.
Yeah, it makes total sense. And I think a lot of stuff's always going to come back to tempo, like all these little subtopics, like you just said. I mean, I was at the range with my daughter on Sunday, and there was she had to have been like 18, 19-year-old, probably college female golfer. She had her earbuds in. She had the golf skirt. She was dressed to the nines. Like, that she knew what she was doing. And I was watching her hit balls, and it was probably one of the nicest golf swings I've ever seen out of anybody, because her tempo was the same on every shot and every club. And I told my daughter, who's 6, I said, watch that girl swing like 3 or 4 balls. She is just doing it so smooth.
Yeah.
I didn't see her top any, skull any, chunk anything. Same flight path. It was like watching a PGA pro, and she was young, and it was just tempo. Yeah. It was so smooth. It was beautiful.
When your tempo is smooth, that's where it's almost that deceiving, where it looks slow. It's like, it makes me think of like Freddie Couples, right?
Yes.
Who, boom, boom. I mean, man, he powers the ball, and his swing speed is and especially during the height of his career, was phenomenal, but it never looked it. It looked always so effortless because his tempo and his rhythm were so good. So that's something to look at and just feel it and feel like if that's what it is. A couple other mechanical, things with your actual mechanical part of your swing that can cause thin shots. And if you kind of recognize that you're doing one of these things, again, it could be the culprit here. And so again, I like to just try to keep in mind some sort of mental checklist of these fundamentals that you can just kind of review through when it does happen to you. And you can, as I said, right the ship a lot earlier, or just in general, by knowing these fundamentals, you can also help just avoid it from happening because you're just a little bit more focused on making sure you do the right thing. The first one is probably the most obvious and where most people would go to when they think of the hitting it thin or topping it in some way. And that would be picking your head up early. But in reality, I like to get away from that phrase. It's more so picking your eyes up early. We've talked a little bit here and there about how that's kind of like a misnomer to say try to keep your head down and especially keep your head still. The reality is that keeping your head still will dramatically prevent your ability to rotate. Your head does move around a little bit during the swing, and that is acceptable. It's more so keeping your focus with your eyes down. If you can keep your eyes on the ball, you and I, Mike, we played so much baseball growing up. How many times have you heard from Little League coaches, keep your eye on the ball, right?
Right.
But if you can do that, it's gonna naturally lend itself to keeping the head where it should be. So just keeping your eye on the ball, because when we do top it, it's very often, sometimes it's a tricky shot, something you're not quite used to. Maybe there's a lot of hazards out there, and you subconsciously kind of start to look up before contact to kind of because you're nervous about where the ball is going to go, rather than keeping your eyes, focus on the ball through contact.
Yeah, this is a good one. I mean, believe it or not, the club I top the most is my putter. And it comes down to this, and I've had a handful of people tell me the same tip, including our Scotland trip. Someone told me, keep your head down through the ball while you're picking your head up at strike. Keep your head down at least till the ball is halfway to the hole. Then you can pick up, because when you pick up your eyes, you're picking up your head, then you're picking up your shoulders, you're picking up your body. Everything's coming up. Therefore, like you just said, it will cause you to hit the ball probably a little thin. And that's an area where I struggle with thin shots. And it's just a result of keeping my head down. It's worked tremendously.
That's just it. I mean, and you're talking about exactly what you said. You pick your eyes up because everything
Topping
come
my
up.
putts.
And
yeah,
the reality is, everything doesn't have to come up too much. It doesn't have to be this crazy lift. Just think about the actual strike of a golf ball. It's just such a fine, like little point where that happens. You know, we're only talking about the difference of a clean strike and a thin strike can be the difference of lifting up maybe a centimeter. You know, so it doesn't take much for your eyes to come up, and then your shoulders and arms, which is all connected, just come up a little bit. Doesn't take much. Take a little bit, and there goes your clean strike. So it's a good point.
Right.
Another thing would be ball position. It might be something, and it's funny, so many times, and we've all struggled with the different areas of the game where we're really frustrated, and then it just takes a golf coach or somebody to point it out, and you're like, oh, I was so stupid to not see that, because it was just such an seemingly obvious thing. And this is one of those things. It can just be you might be lining up with the ball in the wrong part of your stance. Way back, and we'll probably address it again at some time because it's such a good topic, and especially on the idea of fundamentals. We talked about just ball position and where it should be in your stance, because I think that's a good thing to review from time to time. It doesn't take too much for that ball to creep a little bit too far forward in your stance, and for a righty, that would be too far left in your stance. And then you're just not bottoming out at the right point, and you're just catching it a little bit thin because the ball is just a little bit too far forward. So I personally try to eliminate this by putting something in my pre-shot routine. And it could be different for everyone, but something in my pre-shot routine that includes lining the ball up in the right part of my stance. Because again, golf is hard enough. You don't need to introduce more variables. And one variable could be just the ball in different parts of your stance. It's harder to hit it when it moves around, So it can only be an inch or two, but I try to use my lining up off of my feet and, feet together first, and then stepping out with my left foot and then my right foot, and stepping out different distances to make sure that ball is centered where it needs to be for that particular club. But sometimes, again, especially when things are going wrong, we tend to get frustrated. When we get frustrated, we tend to abbreviate everything out there. We don't think as clearly. And when we do that, sometimes little mishaps happen, such as putting the ball in the wrong part of your stance or something like that. So this would be another one of those things to run through in your mind. Oh, I'm hitting the ball a little thin. Could the ball be a little bit too far forward? And if so, move it back. So that's an important one. And the third one, early release, is also something that causes this. Often you hear people refer to as casting, but basically when you're coming through on that downswing, if you're letting this is for righties, if you're a lefty, just reverse this. If you're letting your right hand play too much of an active role in the downswing, you might be getting thin shots there. So you want to make sure to hold that release until later in your downswing. That'll give you better contact in general, just holding it out a little bit further. But if you start to kind of flip or cast, or whatever you want to call it, where that right hand starts to come in a little bit early, it is possible that you catch that ball a little bit too high on the ball, a little too low on the face, and then you end up with a thin shot. So it'd be another one of those things to play over in your mind.
Yeah, all good stuff. I mean, this is new to me, this one, early release. This isn't something that I can really picture or even think about doing. I guess this is something maybe someone would point out to us. I mean, what's the best way to determine whether this is not working?
Yeah, I like every once in a while just doing a little check-in and just videoing your swing. Like face on. I think face on is what's going to show it the best. A lot of good. I also like the idea of every once in a while just getting a lesson, even if it's like once a season, because a good instructor is going to spot it in a second. They're going to see that really quick. But I think, as with anything in the swing, look for the symptoms, like what's going wrong, and then try to replay it back and think what could have caused that, what in the fundamentals could have caused that. But yeah, I mean, it's something that you'd feel a little bit. And I think this is one of those things that you can especially you can work away from. And once you kind of eliminate that, it becomes less and less natural. And then when you have that unnatural feeling, you know something's going wrong and you check in with it. But you would see it if you again, if you just videotape yourself and then just, look at it and look at how that looks. In fact, it was kind of funny. I think I told this story here. I'm not sure, but when we were out there playing London Links, no, where am I thinking? We played. Am I confusing the two? Where did we play with Cam from Putt Out?
West Lancs.
West Lancs. Okay. So when we played West Lancs with Cam, I'm like, he's a tremendous golfer. And I was kind of remarking on that to him. I'm like, and I always like to get people's stories and see like how they approach the game. So I said to Cam, I'm like, well, you're, a terrific golfer. How did you learn the game? Because I'm always interested how people learn it, whatever. And it was funny. He said a large portion of his learning came when he was like a little bit younger and learning the game. And he just would watch videos of Tiger, videotape his swing, and then just see what ways he can kind of make his swing look a little bit more like Tiger's. Now, in the long run, and he knows that too, it's not good to just completely try to emulate someone else's swing or copy it. But there's obviously a lot you can learn from Tiger's swing. I mean, his fundamentals are impeccable. But again, that's where, like, let's say you were worried about struggling this, and this is where I'm going with this. If you were to videotape your swing, and then you can go on YouTube and there's videos of every professional swing, and just look at the two of them side by side, and you'll start to see how they, especially with this, they hold that hand out a little bit further, that right hand, they don't let it start to turn over early, and that's what would cause that casting. So if you see it, that's another way to spot it, basically, to answer your question.
The story of Cam learning golf reminds me of the scene in Happy Gilmore when Shooter McGavin just goes outside when no one's around, tries Happy's swing and misses, and like looks around to make sure nobody's watching.
Yeah.
You try to be like the best. You try to copy the best. I get it.
Yeah. And trust me, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who learn golf from watching Tiger's
Exactly. I believe it.
But here's the thing. No matter what, you got to, as with this or anything else, you got to build trust in your swing. We've done countless episodes and things like that on confidence. We talk about how confidence is so key. So you really need to be able to believe in yourself. When you start to not trust it, a lot of these things happen, especially the tempo thing, going back to that. A lot of that starts to come into play when you're not trusting it. In fact, I find one of my biggest misses out there is when I don't trust that I've made the right decision with the club I have in my hand. Like often it's distance, downhill, uphill, the wind. There's some other factor at play, and I just don't feel like I have either enough club or I feel like I have too much, and I subconsciously alter my tempo because it's almost like a confused swing rather than a confident swing. And when you make that confused swing, your body and your mind are just not working together. They're at odds with each other. When you have this confident swing, your body and mind are working together. You're like your mind, like the ideal situation is your mind creates a plan and your body just goes in and executes it. But they got to be working together. So you got to build that trust. So, here, as with anything, this is where practice gets important. Really working on that ball striking and hitting good shots and feeling what it feels like to strike the ball cleanly. You're never going to, as we said before, you're never going to completely eliminate this shot or any bad shot from your game. They're going to pop their head up here and there, especially as Mike, you said earlier, when you introduce other variables like lie and angle and things like that. So you can't be too hard on yourself when it happens. You don't want to have your goal be to completely wipe it out. You just want to decrease its frequency and be able to understand the fundamentals enough and understand your swing enough that you can right the ship when things do go wrong. So make it a rare occurrence, and when it does happen, fix it as quick as possible by doing that. But it really comes down to practice. And the more I play this game, the more I learn this. This is at every level. And it's why I don't get too hard on myself when I have these stints where my handicap is not coming down. Because I realize I'm just not practicing. I'm not putting enough practice in. It's usually my, busy schedule. I'm just happy to be getting out there, playing golf, enjoying the game. But if I want to drop 2 strokes, 3 strokes over my handicap. I know I got to get out there. I got to put some practice sessions in. We heard everyone talking about it before YouTube Golf Day, some tremendous golfers, and they're all just like, yeah, if I'm going to do well at this thing, I got to get out there and practice. And if you're sitting at home watching on YouTube, it looks like these guys are playing golf every day. But the reality is they're not necessarily playing it in that capacity where they're working on their game. You've got these guys like Rick Shields and Peter Finch, and they're teaching the game a lot of the time. And Piers and Andy from Me and My Golf, a lot of their time is consumed with their students and teaching them the game and things like that. They're not out there grinding, working on their own game as much as they would like. But then you take the other side of the coin when you've got guys like on the PGA Tour where this is their livelihood. They are grinding. They are working on their game constantly. In fact, I heard an interesting conversation where we are just talking about the lull for, like, let's say Woodland or Koepka after you win a major. Because when you win a major, obviously a lot of things come with it. Look at Woodland. You're doing this like press tour, right? So now he's flying all over the country to go on this press tour, whereas normally that time would be, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday rounds. These are your practice rounds. These are when these guys are out there 4 or 5 hours just grinding away practicing. So sometimes guys like that, they may struggle a little bit in the tournament or two. Of course, though, these guys are pros. They regain their form really quick, and they're competitors. They're fierce. They're gonna get in there and do what they need to do. But sometimes you do see that lull for 1 or 2 tournaments after a major because they physically are unable to have the time to practice because they're pulled away for other commitments. It's no different in our lives. You have other commitments. You have things. So again, it's all about being realistic with yourself, how much practice you can put in. But when you do have the time to do it, put the practice in because it will translate to the course.
Yeah, totally agree. And I agree with the other statement. I would love to go on a press tour, by the way. How do I make that happen in my life?
Just win a major.
That's it, right? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to qualify for one, get in and win it.
Then you can be on, I don't even know what half the shows are now. What is Regis? Does Regis even still have a show?
I don't even think Regis is still around now.
I don't know. I don't know those daytime shows.
Yeah, I don't know either.
But so I mean, that's it. Just win a major, really simple, and then you'll get to go on the press tour. You can carry your trophy around, or you can wear the green jacket, whatever.
Whatever, man.
Or
absolutely,
you can just put on that green jacket with the Golficity logo.
I'm looking at it right now.
Right? And then just do your own press conference like you did for Bay Hill.
Maybe I'll just have to do my own press tour.
There you go.
You're right.
Yeah, that would be perfect.
Done.
That'll be our next short video, Mike's press tour.
Mike's press tour.
All right, guys, that's everything we have for you. You can get to the show notes by going to golficity.com/episode 277. Or as well, definitely check out the Golficity app. It's all free. It's all right there. You can listen to every single episode, get all the notes, get all the links, everything we're talking about. It's all in there. Make sure you guys get registered for the virtual open. You'll be able to log your first round as early as July 15th, or you're going to have as late as August 15th. So you're going to have a full month to do your round. All you need to do is get on there, register for those door prizes so you don't miss out. Play your round. You're going to be involved. You're going to have the option to win one of those, and it'll be really cool to see who goes low on those leaderboards. As we've done in previous years, we'll definitely shout a few of you out here on the podcast. You'll get to see us play our virtual open round, which we like to do every year and video that. So we'll be doing that for sure. I'm sure we'll also do an announcement video showcasing some of the great prizes that we have. So all of that you'll see really soon. But the best way to stay in touch with it is to go to golficity.com/open. Check out all the information we have there. Get registered. And good luck, guys. All right. We'll see everybody again next week.